From the Opopco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenny Carlson here with Barry Trammell. Time for our weekly inbox segment. We take your email questions and answer them here on video. Let's get right to it, Barry, with a question from Bernie. Bernie says, in my opinion, the biggest mistake made by the Big 12 was not missing out on Louisville. The biggest mistake was losing Nebraska, Texas A&M, and Missouri. Barry, what about that?
Well, yeah, no kidding. But you can't cry over spilled Cornhusker. So what are you going to do? Clearly, Big 12 would be better off if A&M and Nebraska were still in the league. You know, who cares about Colorado? And, you know, Missouri's sort of optional. But Nebraska and A&M, you really can't replicate those fan bases and those traditions, those rivalries. So, yeah, but those days are gone. I mean, out the door they went, and, you know, I don't think they're coming back. So you got to make the best of it. The Big 12 could have made the best of it by adding Louisville. They chose not to. Now there's, you know, they got to pay the price for that. But the Big 12 still not in terrible shape. Could have been in better shape with Louisville, and clearly would have been in much better shape if none of this had ever happened.
Well, obviously, that's true. Yeah, you wish we could, you know, reverse the clock and get back the original Big 12 and go on our merry way. I think we'd all be happier that way. But you have to look at, with some regret, at the Big 12 not getting Louisville, and they just keep winning and keep adding on to the regret. The men's team is in the Final Four. The women's team is in the Final Four. Barry, as you chronicled in a column over the weekend, their softball team knocked off OU, one of the really juggernauts going in sports right now. OU's softball team, fantastic. So a lot going on at Louisville that you have to like, and it's not coming to the Big 12. So the Big 12, I think, just got short-sighted in the fact that they've got that huge TV share and they don't want to have to cut the pie any smaller. And, you know, now they're going to have to live with 10, and if they do want to expand, they may not have as good options as they would have had previously. Back to the inbox, this one from Jordan. Jordan says, things that could make college basketball a little better. Have a real jump ball whenever a jump ball is called. What's the downside? It could add a little excitement. No more possession arrows.
Well, kudos to Jordan, because he actually sent me 4 suggestions to improve college basketball, and I saved them. We'll just take one a week for the next 4 weeks. Today he wants to get rid of jump balls, to which I say, nonsense. Let me tell you what's a lost art. Tossing the ball up by referees. It's not 1956 anymore. Have you seen a good jump ball in the NBA or to tip off college games in the last 10 years? No. In fact, I have a new idea for the start of games in the college game and also for the NBA where they still jump on jump balls. Instead of tossing the ball up, let's have a face-off like hockey. You drop the ball and you got to tap it to somebody. That would be a lot more competitive, a lot more legitimate than the jump ball, where it's all timing and where guys try to tip it before it's even out of the ref's hands. Jump balls today are an absurdity. We don't need more. We need less.
I'm going to go with Jordan on this one, Barry. I mean, I don't think you can say just because the officials can't toss the ball in the air very well that you should do away with jump balls. I don't like the possession arrow either. It sometimes rewards the wrong team. Somebody gets down on the floor, tries to get a ball, and all of a sudden, you know, the ball's staying with the other team. I don't think that's fair either. Give everybody a chance to get that ball. Let's do away with jump balls. Make the officials figure out how to throw the ball better. That's all I got to say to that. All right, back to the inbox. This one from Mark. Mark says, Derek Fisher, your favorite subject, Barry. Derek Fisher is a liability, period. He throws more bricks than a brickmason. All the hype of being the old pro is just company spin. To watch him on the floor is baffling.
Here's what's interesting about Derek Fisher. Almost everything that anybody says about him is not true. Scott Brooks, when he's talking about how good a player he is and what he brings, he's hyperbolizing. Derek Fisher doesn't do near that much for the Thunder. But then this kind of stuff where he says he's terrible, he can't play. I mean, the rally in Milwaukee the other night, that all happened with Derek Fisher on the floor. He played the entire fourth quarter. Thunder gets down 5, comes back, wins going away. Derek Fisher is not a terrible player. He's not a great player. You might even say he's just a so-so player. But he can still get some things done. I think he's a fine player for the Thunder as long as he only plays 8-10 minutes a game. When you get him up to 15 to 20 minutes, that's the problem. But everybody, we all just need to settle down about Derek Fisher. He's an excellent number 9 player in the roster. Nothing wrong with that. If he's your number 7 player, that's a problem.
Well, and that is the problem, and that's what we saw happen last year. I think that's why people are so polarized about Derek Fisher. He came in last year and you thought, well, he's going to have to play some minutes, but then he started playing even more minutes. And this year, obviously, it's a whole different scenario. They've got a backup point guard that can play and play well in Reggie Jackson. You don't want to see that, you can call it mission creep. You go from playing 6 or 8 minutes a game to playing 12 or 16 minutes a game. Nobody wants to see that in the playoffs, and I think that's what everybody's concerned about, that Scott Brooks' comfortable feeling about Derek Fisher is going to lead to even more minutes for Derek Fisher. So I get sort of that hyper-vigilance that people have. They just don't want to see that happen again, and frankly, neither do I. I don't think you do either.
No, limit the minutes, but let's not demonize the guy.
All right. Back to the inbox for a question from Chris. Chris says, okay, one new rule for the Sooners and the Cowboys. Before you can declare for the NBA draft, you must be able to beat your coach in a game of horse. What about that, Barry?
Well, how about hit this for a rule? Before you can declare yourself a college basketball fan, you must declare and admit that college basketball players are not indentured servants. It's not 17th century England. For crying out loud, I've never seen such an outrage over him by declaring for the NBA draft. The guy got his degree. He graduated, wants to move on with his life.
24 years old.
He's 23, yeah. He doesn't want to play basketball with a bunch of 19-year-olds anymore. I don't know, and he's French, so he doesn't even have to chase girls. The girls chase him. So he's got nothing left to stay and play for. I don't understand the resentment of players who want to leave. Everything in college basketball is built for the coaches. Coaches control the sport. Coaches dominate the sport. They control the scholarships. They control the renewal of scholarships. Players have very little power. The only thing they have is the ability. They can just move on with their life. When a guy wants to do it, I say, good luck, God bless.
Well, and as shocked as I was by Ahmad Mba's decision to leave Oklahoma, after I thought about it a little bit, I can see where he's coming from. He's international player. He can go overseas, and that's not something that he would look at as a bad deal. He's older. He's got his degree. Things start to add up, and you think, you know what? That's not a bad thing. Now, to the question of being able to beat your coach in a game of horse, I don't know. Do you like Ahmad Mba's chances against Lon Kruger? What about Marcus Smart against Travis Ford?
I like
Marcus Smart. Now, I don't know about Markel Brown.
I like Ford and Kruger on both of those.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Wow, all right.
Travis Ford could shoot it. I bet he still can.
Hey, be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.